12 years, 3 rings, MVP of a Super Bowl, third most receiving yards and catches in NFL playoff history, Julian Edelman, who, by the way, NFL kickoff on Fox. That is always Sunday at 11 Eastern on our network here. So let's just dive into the Jets. So one of the advantages you guys always had in New England is there was always so much turmoil in the teams in your division. Miami was revolving door, Jets with coaches. Buffalo, bless their heart, until they got Josh Allen. They were giving it the go team effort. But again, you were in a division without continuity, and you had nothing but continuity. I am not a fan of a team. I always watch 2 things for a coach. Is the team playing hard? Yeah, they didn't quit.
Yeah.
And where are you? Well, if the Jets win Monday, they're in first place. If you want to fire Saleh on a 6-game losing streak and the team's quit, but didn't it feel a little rushed?
It did, but it doesn't surprise me. It's the Jets. You know, we all knew Saleh was on the hot seat.
Yeah.
The only thing that surprised me is they did it this early. But I could vividly remember we were in a 2-game skid a couple times in my career, and Belichick would always say the same thing. Fellas, we need to make changes. This is a production business. You know, this isn't for feelings. This isn't for your family. This is a result business. And if you look at the results for the last 3 years, I mean, they haven't been very good. And
right.
to not have a plan last year, I think that this stems from last year's not having a backup quarterback plan and thinking Aaron's our savior. This is a National Football League. If you go out and think that one guy is going to make your team drastically different, it doesn't happen like that. And it does in certain cases, but like 38-year-old guy not playing his best, coming into a different situation.
Right.
I think there's a lot of things that stem to why this decision was made. You know, the cadence talk and how to deal with Aaron. Yeah. He's a franchise quarterback. It was crazy. I'm doing some prep for my podcast, Games with Names, and we're doing the 2014 Packers game against Seattle where
I remember that.
Where Russ threw 5 interceptions and the defense had 2, you know, that game. I'm sitting there watching Aaron Rodgers. He had a cadence touchdown. I mean, that's what he does.
Right.
And so I think there's so many outside noises that the outside people heard that I think the Johnson family just got fed up.
I saw Adam Schefter had pointed out, he said he thought New York got to Saleh. Now, Boston, Philly, and New York are loud, aggressive medias. Out here, we're pretty toothless. It's L.A. We're in a good mood. We don't even honk when you cut us off in traffic. Boston, were there ever times, could have been Spygate, were there ever times with the noise outside the building, like you did hear it and feel it?
No, because we had such strong leadership, and that comes from Bill and Tom, the 2 craziest compartmentalizers I've ever met in my life. I mean, they were always the same. Like Bill, yeah, was he an a-hole? Yeah, but that's how he always was. Brady, was he just always laser focused? Yeah, he could have something going on outside his life. He could have something going on with the team. There could be a trade. He was the same guy. And that's where it starts from. That outside noise is dealt with through the leadership of your team.
When you guys looked at the Jets, I mean, they had the Sanchez team when they had good left tackle, good defense, was a hell of a team. But a lot of times, did you look at other teams? Like, you go into town, here come the Patriots. Whether you just won a Super Bowl or not, it was always the standard. And did you, ever look at other teams, even in warm-up? So you fly in, you look at the facility, you look, and you ever think to yourself, it's a circus.
Not in a game. I never felt that in a game because Bill was very good at keeping us focused on what we had to do to go out and win the game. Yeah. But I did feel those feelings when we'd have joint practices and saw how behind the scenes were, how teams practiced, the intensity of their practices. That's when I would see, this team's not going to be very good this year.
Really?
Yeah.
In a joint practice? Joint
practice, because that's where you get to see where the team's made up from. We see the product on Sunday.
You want to give any specific?
Nah, I don't want to throw any teams under the bus, but there was a few where, you go out there and
they're ham and egging it.
It's just, we got water breaks every 2 seconds. I mean, just soft. Just soft.
This show has never had a water break. Julian, I won't allow it.
I know, it gets hot in certain places, but we got a 10-minute water break. We were sitting doing like one-on-ones as a different team because we had to sit, it was just, that's when you can really see what a team is through how they prepare, through how they practice, the intensity of their practice. That's why you hear so many great things about the great teams. You look at Kansas City. What's everyone hear about that camp? They're working their tails off. Practices are hard. He hits because those linemen need to hit. That's what I always felt. I could see a difference in organizations.
That's funny. Davante Adams, Saints, Steelers, Bills, Jets. Let's say you're a receiver. Mm-hmm. Obviously, quarterback matters. What else matters when you're potentially looking at other places?
I would say quarterback is number one thing. Yeah. Can he deliver you the ball? And then also having other pieces. With the Bills, they have Shakir, who's been developing into a cool, awesome little slot guy, which is like that Beasley role that they've been missing for a few years. Kincaid, he needs to get rolling, but he's had production. Yeah. I think it's very attractive place for a big-time receiver to come in and not take necessarily all the eyes away from the other pieces, but be able to go in and make key plays on key situations. I think that would be a great fit for Davante. I don't think it's a great fit for the Bills, though.
Why is that?
They just got out of this same situation when they got Diggs to, they traded Diggs and Diggs out. And we saw in the first 2 weeks how well Josh Allen played when he didn't feel the weight of having to throw to someone. Yeah. Now, these last couple weeks where they've lost a couple games,
I think pass-happy.
Too pass-happy. Joe Brady needs to get back to the run, get Cooks more involved, and take the load off of Josh Allen and make him throw situationally.
Why do you think they changed?
It had to, they've gotten into a deficit, a 10-point deficit, and a lot of times offensive coordinators, they panic, and they change up their game plans completely because they're down 7, they're down 10. But, there's still 3/4 of the game left, what are you just going to change your whole game plan and all the things that the whole team's confident running? Now we're going back to other things, a drop back pass game where we haven't necessarily practiced a bunch. So I just think that offensive coordinators sometimes panic when they get a deficit and fall and run away from the run.
You guys didn't trail a lot, but you had your moments. Yeah. Go to a big game. Because there is that line in the sand, Julian, from let's not panic to, oh, crap, this isn't working. Go to a big game. Maybe it's the Ravens. Maybe that you do have to say, guys, we're going to move a little off our game plan. Or is that a halftime decision?
It's probably a halftime decision. Okay. It's still early. The game is adjusting to the adjustments. That's what a football game is. That's why you look at a lot of these West Coast teams that have their script. And they go out and they have a 25-play script and they look great. And then the second half comes when they have to make adjustments to the defense, adjustments that they made to their game plan. A lot of times they dwindle out, and we've seen a lot of these West Coast systems, have trouble with that 4-minute offense when they have a lead because they run out of plays. Specifically for us, I think in the 28-3 game against Atlanta, we were down a lot. We still ran the ball, though. You look at James White, and we may have replaced runs with passes to the running game, but that was a huge part of our system. We didn't necessarily change it right away. What we all talked about doing was, you're not going to win the game in one play. Let's kind of just focus on what we planned all week and continue to do that, and then we get it to halftime, and then we'll make a change if we have to when all the coaches can talk.
We were talking, circle back to the Jets, about Belichick fitting with the Jets. And the one thing, and Bill got criticism for it, but Bill understood the circus that was the Jets. And he, when he worked for the Giants, it was such a class organization that in the building, I always imagined Parcells and Belichick making fun of the Jets, like looking at him going, oh, what a circus. Well, then Bill goes over there, Parcells. But I just don't think that I think firing Saleh, in my opinion, is such a turnoff to good coaches. I think coaches, there is a community or a fraternity. When a guy's a stiff. But like the Vrabels and the Belichicks, the guy, I think they can look at the Jets and probably go, the hell's that?
The Jets do have a really good defense, and those are two real defensive-happy head coaches. I'm telling you, like, Bill, if you listen to him talk about Mosley and the whole defensive front for the Jets, he likes that.
Oh, no question.
He loves that team.
Is Vrabel a good fit? You know him. I
love Ravens, but I can never see those two. We never liked the Jets. I'm sorry, J-Mac.
That's okay.
We've it was always exactly what you said. We would look at the Jets and say, now they did have a few teams with Rex that, we were 14-2, smoked them 3 weeks before, go to the division round. They smoked us. They beat us a couple times like that. But that was always a hiccup.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was always a blip in the radar that was unpredictable. I can't even come up with a thought because I'm thinking about if Vrabel or Bill went to the Jets. So I have no thoughts for that. It just doesn't feel right.
Okay, so on Monday night, it felt a little bit like, remember when Kevin Durant went to the Warriors and they were already good? Mm-hmm. And there were nights that it felt like they were showing off.
Yeah.
They were kind of playing with the league. And I felt Monday night, standalone game, Taylor Swift is there. Laterals. I mean, I felt like Kansas City was sort of flexing.
Yeah.
It was like, we're going to put on a little show tonight. I never thought you guys played like that. Now, the Randy Moss years were crazy because nobody could guard Randy. But I do feel like there's a little warrior. Not all championship teams are the same.
Yeah.
But the Michael Jordan teams, LO Flair. Yeah. Are you cool with the fact that sometimes it does look like Kansas City is flexing a little bit on these standalone games? I mean, the reverses, laterals, like 4 or 5 of them.
I mean, that's a huge part of what they've always done. They've always been very innovative with the pitches. I mean, I think Trav did this 2 weeks ago, didn't he? In a 3rd and long situation.
Well, Andy was on the show. He said we do it in practice every day.
I mean, they're always inventing something. They're very collaborative with allowing players to come up with plays, and that's very different than what we were like. There was probably Tom and Josh were the only ones kind of doing that.
Would you guys go into a game with like one trick play?
We'd have trick plays all the time. It's just we would save that one trick play for when we needed it and when we developed the tendency for when people were thinking that trick play wasn't coming.
Okay.
So everything was calculated.
When the trick play, I always think about this. This is weird.
Yeah.
The trick play comes in, and you have to act like nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Is that hard?
I remember specifically on one of the double passes, the Ravens game, Josh came up to me. He goes, "Hey, do I need to give you some lead time?" I'm like, "No, why?" He goes, "We going to take off your glove or something?" I'm like, we can't take off our glove. That'll show that we're doing something. Your heartbeat gets up, but
didn't you go practice on the sideline?
I would always. So before that, I would always catch balls from Tom, and I'd warm them up before the drive. And so before that drive, that's when I would sit there and I would get warmed up, and I'm kind of getting my.
But you're just casual.
Casual, but I was sitting there slinging that thing, getting that thing warm. But we didn't necessarily need a lot of lead time going into a trick play because we practice it so much. But getting back to the Kansas City Chiefs, that's what they do. They're very innovative. But the more impressive thing is how great their offensive line is playing right now. You look at Hunt, comes in and gets 100 yards,
I thought he was
touchdown.
Juju Smith-Schuster's a stud.
100 and something yards and a touchdown. And that's what having continuity with the offensive line, quarterback, and that one skill position player, Travis, does. It shows everyone else, like, hey, guys, you need to get on the speed of us because this is how we play. We need Juju. You need to make a play on a 3rd down for us when they got 4 guys on Travis.
And that's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. Hunt, 1st and 2nd down, you need to get us 3 to 6 yards. Get us 4 yards a run. Get us 4 yards a run. Keep us in 3rd and manageable so we don't have to do our little trick pass where Travis is doing a 3rd and 17 throw lateral play. Like, that's what it's so impressive watching them. They're such a complimentary football team, too. And their defense is playing lights out. Veach.
Brett Veach.
Veach. I mean, you got to tip your cap to him and Andy Reid being on such a cohesive page of developing their players and building their team through the draft.
Okay. Bo Nix, Sean Payton had an incident.
Yeah.
Brady Bill O'Brien had an incident.
Yeah.
When it happens and you're close to it, is it odd? Do you go buddy up to Tom? If you saw Tom go nuts on a coach and you're like 3 players away, do you say anything?
You don't touch the smoking gun. you just don't touch a smoking gun. You go back and you sit on the bench and you look at your buddy and you say, you see that? That's what we used to do.
But you don't.
Nah, because we all knew, Brady played better pissed off, and that was, he liked that. I liked it with Sean Payton and Bo Nix because, we saw a lot of this last year with Russell, and we never saw Russell bark back. And I think that specific situation look at Billy O.
Look at Brady. He is ticked off.
Taekwon, oh, man.
Look at that. He is throwing dishes.
Oh, yeah.
That kitchen is getting,
Look at Chatty O trying to back him off. Bill, just shut up. That's funny. There's Gronk.
Boy, that is intense.
Yeah, but when that happens, you kind of let the player and the coach who's that's going with, you let them handle that. But to go back to Denver and Bo and Peyton, I don't know Peyton that well. We've crossed paths here, and I like him a lot.
Very
but I think, he's an alpha guy.
Yes.
And he gets turned on when a guy does that to him, especially if the kid came out and corrected, which I guarantee Bo Nix doesn't look like a guy that's going to argue something that's wrong. It was probably a coaching point that, Sean said to him, and he goes, well, this is what you said.
Well, look at the coach defend Bo Nix.
And, and that's where it goes, and sometimes you need a little bit that's a growing up step for a young quarterback if he's right. If he's going to go do that on something that has nothing to do with the team or has nothing to do with, if it has something to do with his individual performance or an individual play calling thing that, I don't think that's okay. But it didn't seem like Bo Nix had a malicious intent.
No.
He was probably like, Coach, this is what you said.
Yeah, defending his territory.
His territory.
Drew Brees came on the show and said, Sean's very particular on stuff run to the short side. He gets certain hash marks.
Angles.
Yeah, he gets very particular. And what Bo Nix is saying is probably, we did it right.
Yeah.
He's defending his turf. I get it.
No,
that Brady video is intense.
Yeah, that was a fun time. And we were in Washington, D.C.
Oh, is it D.C.?
That was against D.C. The former Redskins, now the Commanders.
Yeah. And you remember the game?
Oh, I was playing defense. I was playing defense on that game, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you any good? I don't remember. Did you get a sack or a pick or anything?
I had a couple, I would jam guys at the line of scrimmage and hold them for as long as I could for 5 yards.
Awesome. Great seeing you, buddy.
Great to see you guys.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.